The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
You're now tuned into a Planet Fanatics production.
Armor Wars. Is it real or is it fake? What's up and what's going on, fellow fanatics? And in this video, we're going to break down the very little that we do know about Armor Wars, a project that was announced by Marvel Studios, just like Blade, almost 6 years ago at Disney's Investor Day in 2020, starring my cousin, Don Cheadle. So we are going to discuss the very little that we do know about it, starting with the plot. And I'm going to read here what they have for the plot here. Like Hawkeye, a solo War Machine spinoff was originally included in Don Cheadle's contract as a potential feature film. There were discussions about the film, and Cheadle had ideas for Rhodey to go rogue and become a fugitive in order to complete a forbidden and politically vital mission that he viewed as morally right. Joe Robert Cole was hired to write the script, but the project was shelved due to potential conflicts with Shane Black's plans for Rhodey and Iron Man 3. Cole would later go on to write the Black Panther film with Ryan Coogler, while the idea of a solo War Machine vehicle would finally see the day of light years later as a Disney Plus production. Now, the official Marvel synopsis for the plot just is very simple, and it reads, what happens if Tony Stark's tech falls into the wrong hands? Don Cheadle returns to the role of James Rhodes, aka War Machine, who must face these tech consequences in the classic Marvel story. He decides he must do whatever it takes to reacquire or destroy the stolen tech. One of the other things that we know about the plot is that Marvel Studios will be adapting the 7-issue Armor Wars Iron Man arc, and they are going to be basing the movie heavily off of those comics. One of the other things that we also know is that it's still going to tie heavily into Secret Invasion, regardless of what we all thought about Secret Invasion. It's still going to tie heavily into Secret Invasion, and with it tying into Secret Invasion, Don Cheadle did an interview, I want to say it was with Brandon Davis at comicbook.com, where he talked about how Rhodey was going to be dealing with the effects of losing his friend, losing his brother, and Tony Stark. Not only that, we're also going to see Rhodey dealing with the effects of being impersonated by a Skrull since the last time we saw him in Civil War. So he's going to be dealing with that as well, just coming back to reality, how everything has been since he has been gone. So he'll be dealing with that, but he talked about that again with Brandon Davis, and I will play that. I want to hear from you. Here.
Since Endgame, we've had moments with Rhodey. He's helped other people. Now that he's without his best friend, I mean, where do you think Rhodey's at when we find him in Armor Wars?
At a very different place, and in a way that is something that I can't really talk about, but it's going to be very surprising to a lot of people. And the great thing is there's just going to be so much opportunity to learn a lot about him, and for him to learn about himself, and for us, hopefully, to really be able to get behind what makes him tick.
And the show is called Armor Wars. What should that tell us?
Well, if you know anything about the lore and you've read the comic books, you understand that it's a series that was built around Tony's Stark, the Stark tech getting out, and Rhodey, taking it on to go get this tech back from the bad hands and the bad actors whose hands it is in. And as Marvel does, it's also an opportunity to take the mythology and tip it on its head a little bit and come up with different ways to tell the story. So it's doing that, and it's done that in spades.
Are you a comic collector at all? Have you amounted any?
Nope, I've never was, and I haven't really become one, although people have been giving me a lot of comics since this started.
Well, dude, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Along with the very, very, very little, as I told you at the beginning, that we do know about this film, we do have a few film updates for it. So I'll read through some of these film updates now. Armor Wars will still connect to Secret Invasion despite the reception. And as I said earlier, despite what everybody may have thought about Secret Invasion, they are still going to tie Secret Invasion into Armor Wars. And as I said when Secret Invasion first came out, again, not a Secret Invasion video, so I don't want to go too heavy into this, but I said when it was announced, I believe, was this announced at the Investor Day too? I can't remember. But I remember when it was announced, I also said a series. Why is Secret Invasion a series? Now, I kind of digressed on it being a series when we were told that each episode was going to be an hour long. That way it's going to feel like a very long 6-hour movie. That wasn't the case at all. Secret Invasion never needed to be a series. It always needed to be a film. That is such a massive Marvel story. It's such a massive event in Marvel Comics. So for you to relegate it to a 6-episode series that was nowhere close. And again, you can look at Civil War, and the Civil War MCU film is not close to the comic version of what Civil War truly is But that's still a great film. And your mileage may vary. You may not think so, but that's still a great film, regarded by many as a great film. You could have done the exact same thing with Secret Invasion and not had it be as messy as it was. But Armor Wars is still going to connect to Secret Invasion. Some of the other things that we know is that Dominique Thorne, who we all saw show up in Wakanda Forever, and her show Ironheart, from what we do know from leaks and rumors as well, is going to be a sequel of some sorts to Wakanda Forever. But she is going to be in this She's going to be in this film as well. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who plays Val, she is going to be in it as well. And Sam Rockwell, who we know obviously as Justin Hammer, mentioned as possible cast members. All three previously leaked by the Cosmic Circus, and that is Alex over at the Cosmic Circus, with the filming slated to start in 2025 in Atlanta. If I'm saying his name correctly, is it Yasir Lester? Is still the writer and executive producer. So I believe he was attached to this film early on. So that is still something that has not changed. It's something that, if this still is real and happening, he is still attached and going to be the executive producer and writer on the film. Goes on to say Marvel is reportedly currently searching for a director for Armor Wars. That's something we never got. Even with it being a series, we never had a announcement of who the director was going to be. When it turned into a movie, the only thing we got was answers from Nate Moore, and I'm going to get to his quote in a minute here. But we never got who the director was going to be for the film or anything like that. So again, the very little that we do know about it, it's not much. They still don't have a director. Yasir Lester is still going to be the writer and executive producer. It goes on to say that the Department of Damage Control will still have an impact and a role in Armor Wars. Originally, they were going to play a role in the revival of Ultron, as well as working under Val. Now, there are rumors that Ultron is still going to show up in this film. That was something that was rumored kind of early on. Even as a series, Ultron was rumored to be in the series, and now turned movie. He was rumored to be the main antagonist of the film. Don't know if that's still happening. Feel like that would be a great move. I feel like you bring back James Spader. I feel like you bring back Ultron, one of the MCU's top villains that they've had. So I think that would be really dope to see. Now, working under Val, we don't know exactly what Val is doing. I think that will be made more plain during the Thunderbolts film. We got some hints at what she's trying to do, obviously, but as far as what her intentions truly are, I don't think that that's going to be spelled out completely until Thunderbolts. Now we'll jump into some of the changes that are being made to Armor Wars since it was announced as a series back in 2020. On September 29th in 2022, The Hollywood Reporter reported that Marvel Studios has shaken up its Armor Wars project, and what was to have been a series for Disney Plus was redeveloped as a feature film. Sources say that the studio was committed to telling the story the right way and realized that a feature was better suited for the project. Like all Marvel movies, Armor Wars was intended for a theatrical release. And that's funny there, because I do believe that it was Nate Moore came out and discussed that. I believe Nate Moore, it covers all the Black heroes, or he's the executive producer on all the Black projects. He's the executive producer for Armor Wars. He was the executive producer for Wakanda Forever and the original Black Panther film. He's the executive producer for Brave New World. So I don't know, we haven't heard anything from Nate Moore in a long time. I don't even know if the brother still works for Marvel, but he said this about the Armor Wars series turned movie in 2022 in an interview with The Town, and he discussed how they were changing it from a series to a movie. This is what he had to say about it. He said, when you're talking about a show that wants to be about seeing all the cool armors, and Don Cheadle interacting with all those armors and all sorts of legacy of Tony Stark, that became kind of cost prohibitive to do a show. And we realized as a feature, not only can we get into some of the beautiful imagery that is from publishing, and that's certainly an Armor Wars run, but also there's ways then to leverage the ideas of that movie and affect other movies down the line. And like Secret Invasion, I also said when Armor Wars was announced as a series, why? It didn't need to be a series. And this is something that we've seen in recent interviews that Bob Iger has done when he was discussing some of the decisions that were made with Marvel, moving away from some of the series and things that they're doing and putting more focus onto feature films and feature films with characters that, people want to see. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that War Machine, Don Cheadle's Rhodey is the most popular character in the MCU or anything like that. But when you are coupling that with Stark Tech, you're coupling that with possibly Ultron, you're coupling that with Justin Hammer, anything Iron Man in the MCU is going to be super, super dope. Stark Tech being stolen and being used by all these different villains. If you know that comic run, it's great. That should have never been a series. Always should have been a feature film. So for once, I agree with what Nate Moore was saying there. Now, we'll jump into the last thing here is just some of the rumors and things that have come out. So if you're a person that really doesn't like rumors and you don't want anything to be spoiled for you, and that's assuming that this shit is even real, now's your time to jump out. But we are going to jump into those rumors, and that'll be the last and final thing we have here on Armor Wars. So here are some old and recent rumors for Armor Wars. The first one here is, obviously, like we just talked about here, the Department of Damage Control would have a major impact of the story. Justin Hammer would return. In an interview on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Sam Rockwell addressed the widespread fan speculation about his potential MCU return, revealing that he didn't receive a call from Marvel or Kevin Feige about appearing in Armor Wars. They joked about it a lot. If you watched that interview, you might have joked about it, but he said in that interview that he is waiting for the call. He's like, I'm ready, I'm in. I just want the phone call. So Justin Hammer may be possibly returning for Armor Wars. I feel like that is something that's actually going to happen. And I don't believe Sam when he says he hasn't gotten a phone call from Marvel. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. I do believe he has, though. I believe that if this is true, if this is something, I'm not going to say maybe they've gone into deep conversation about what his role would be in the film, but just like, hey, this may be something that we have you on call for. I don't know. They also said that Ultron will come back as one of the main protagonists of the movie. Again, as I said earlier, I think that'd be dope. That's a winner. That puts asses in the seats as well. The next one is, the events of Secret Invasion will impact the plot, since what happens here causes the U.S. government to intensify the fight against enhanced individuals by ordering the creation of the Iron Army program. This one says, Val would have hired Justin Hammer to create the Iron Army program, which would result in various people using Stark armor. Another one says Ironheart and other heroes would help stop this program and would have most likely each have armor on of their own. Now, when they say Ironheart and other heroes, I'm not sure what they mean by other heroes. I'm not sure who that could be, but if that's even real, but that's that one there. This one, again, if you know the comic run, you know he does show up in the 7-issue comic run. Crimson Dynamo is rumored to appear in Armor Wars. I would love to see a live-action Crimson Dynamo if done correctly, so that'd be dope as well, too. I'm telling you, Armor Wars could be dope. It really, really could be dope. It's just we've not heard anything about it. And it's the same thing just like with Blade. It's the same thing like, with the same thing I said in the Blade video. Marvel seems to have an issue with their black characters. It seems like getting their black characters off the ground is tough for them. And I don't understand why, because when you look at the success of the Black Panther film, and you could say, well, the Black Panther's different. That's a black character that is loved, that is a black character that is not a derivative character. That is a black character that was not a sidekick. That's the first official black comic book character that was his own. So you can say that Black Panther, in a way, T'Challa is in a lane of his own, but there are so many great black characters within Marvel, within DC, that are just simply not being used. But staying on Marvel's side of things, again, as I said in the Blade video, you've got Monica who's displaced, you've got Blade who can't even get off the ground, you've got T'Challa who's dead, you've got Ironheart series who keeps getting pushed back, you've got the Armor War series you haven't heard anything about. People keep talking about Blue Marvel. I don't think that's ever going to fucking happen. You're never going to see an Adam Brashear in the MCU. You're looking at all the things going on with some of the black characters, and you're sitting back thinking, why is this so hard to get these characters off the ground? Again, Armor Wars could be super, super dope. I don't know why Marvel keeps putting this back. This could be a very, very dope film. The rumors go on to say Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, is rumored to appear in Armor Wars. Jeremy Renner seems to be a very hot commodity in Hollywood right now, especially since his accident and the massive, strong recovery that he has made since the accident. There's the rumors of Hawkeye Season 2 on the horizon, with the rumors talking about it also taking place during the holiday season, more so of a passing of the torch to Kate Bishop. We'll have to wait to see with that, but he is rumored to show up in this as well. Another one says the second post-credit scene of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings will tie into Armor Wars. And the last one here says that Justin Hammer will be hired by Val to develop the team of Iron Man. Marvel has reportedly had talks with Sam Rockwell about reprising his role as Justin Hammer in Armor Wars, and that is coming from Daniel RPK. So those are the very little things that we do know about the Armor Wars project, and the very little that we do know, it does seem like it still could be an interesting project for Marvel Studios. However, it's been almost 6 years, just like with Blade, and like with Blade, my interest that I had almost 6 years ago is waning. I'm not as interested in this as I was at one point, even with some of the things that we're hearing, even with Crimson Dynamo, for me, Crimson Dynamo showing up, even with Ultron maybe even showing back up and things like that, and seeing all the cool Stark tech and everything that this film could be. My lack of interest is taking away what could be thrilled for this movie, but maybe you are different. So let me know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking. Do you think that Armor Wars is a real film, first of all? What are you, and then when you hear some of these rumors and some of the plot synopsises, the very little plot synopsises that we do have for the film, what are your thoughts? Do you think that they just need to shelve this? It's been too long, and are you still even interested in seeing an Armor Wars film? Let me know all these things down below in the comments. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see all of you guys in the next video.
I'm like, boom, you looking for this?